Yes. Did you mention we got a coffee?
Yeah. Said shout out to good old Zarafas for a drive-through coffee before.
Yeah, we went down. We've got the Brookwater Barista is just down the road from us, and we went down there to grab ourselves a coffee, but they were closed, so we're like, well, let's leg it up.
Let's just go through the drive-through at Zarafas up there at Augustine Heights and
Josh introduced me to the Massive coffee.
I don't get why, like, you know, Starbucks Grande. Do you want tall Grande or whatever it is?
It's give me big.
It's large, small, medium, large, or extra large. That's just the easiest way to just.
Yeah, well, I guess Supersize Me sort of ruined that, didn't it? Like, you're the big one that's got the most calories. So yes, it's got the most coffee in it as well. So
that's it. Hey everyone, Josh here, and welcome back to Constructing Out the Podcast. And in today's episode, Kenny and I talk a little on the footy before getting into the different types of patios, from single skin sheeting to insulated panel, wall mounted to flyover, and the advantages that each type provides. Did you also know that we are now on Spotify, so you can listen to us on your daily drive, and if you don't feel like watching us on YouTube? So jump over, give us a follow. It really helps us reach more people. And if you have any questions regarding your construction or Colorbond journey, please put them in the comments below. With all that out of the way, let's crack on with the episode.
You know what? That's Geelong lost last night.
Yeah, it's pre-season. It doesn't count, right?
I know.
Although my girls were pretty excited. The Lions smashed us.
Yeah. Amelia said nothing. She's like, I'm not rubbing it in. I've got a hat. She got a hat for a birthday from there. So.
Excited stuff.
Oh, mate, that's crystal. All right.
First thing the girl said after we left the footy last night was, "Can we go to more games?" Like, looks like I'm buying a membership to the Lions.
There we and they do. Being the we are local 431
4300
4300, which is the Greater Springfield area. Both Josh and I live in the same area. And I think we'll have to go with it because the kids love it. And it was like, what was it, $400 or something for a family, or $330?
$330 for a family of four.
Yeah, with 3 passes to go to the football, like at the Gabba, and access to all of the games down at Brighton Homes Arena, and you get a scarf or a hat or kits. Right?
Yeah, well, you got two adult memberships and 2 juniors, and the juniors comes like, I think it was a pencil case or a bottle, or there's a whole stack of stuff that it comes with.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it comes with heaps, like the value of it for $330.
It's pretty good. And you get, like you said, you get access to all the women's games, which is all their home games for the AFLW, which was great.
It's a good day out. Like, we went down there last night, and
it just, like, it's you know, they're big. It's a big sort of grandstandy sort of thing. The whole place is 8,000 seating capacity.
I reckon there was only about 6 there yesterday.
Yeah, well, they were nearly at capacity for the women's grand final, which is great for the women's game.
Yeah,
and it felt like local footy, just on a bigger sort of scale. With all that out of the way, let's crack on with the episode.
So today we're just chatting away, and Josh and I decided we'd do a podcast. Actually, your idea. Shoot away.
Yeah, so we thought we'd cover off on, you know, everyone during summer likes to sit out on their back deck, and if you've got a deck, I guess, and watch the world go by and just relax, especially if you got a pool. But sometimes that sun can just beat down on you, so you want something to cover your veranda, right?
Yep.
So simple sort of solutions is just get a patio, get a patio kit.
Well, whether it's a patio kit or build the full structure. So what's the difference?
So there's a couple of different options. You can go like a single skin, which has got 0 sort of insulation, but it keeps the water off, and you can have a bit of nice shade from everything. Or you can go the whole, you know, Stratco do cool deck. You got solar span insulated panels.
Which is basically 2 sheets of Colorbond with styrofoam in between it of different thicknesses.
Varying thicknesses. Depends on how far you've got to span.
Yeah. It's kind of like sitting under an esky.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they all fix on like a couple of different ways. Like you can fix it directly to the fascia using a receiver channel and then out to a beam.
Yep.
Or you can have a flyover, which has got some roof extenders that come out of the roof, and then the beam's fixed to that, and then it's fixed at either end to a beam down on the ground, and they're kind of your options.
Which is probably the more premium of the 2 options of going.
Yeah, that one's going to be probably set you back a bit more to do.
Though it gives you the height, because if you've got
if you've got already got a low ceiling to your house, if you're fixing under the fascia, you've got to realize that it's going to be lower again at the other end.
Because if you're generally under the gutter is actually below your ceiling height of your house. So the gutter, the fascias can actually be sitting at around 2100, yeah. So
Whereas your ceiling's like usually 24.
Yeah. So often, no, in doing these, I'll get to that part I was thinking of just in a moment. But with these, you have, and what we're talking about is if you look at a Stratco Outback, we're using Stratco because we're very well, we like Stratco, we like their products, we believe in what they do. Yeah. And we do use other people. However, Stratco is the easy one to talk to, so that's what we're going to reference at this time. So the Stratco Outback system, it's essentially you have a U-channel on the back, you have the sheeting, whatever that may be, that goes in between with a beam on the front and a gutter, and you stand underneath it. And everyone has probably seen these ads on TV of the Stratco Outback.
Yeah.
They're really cool. They extend your house, and they make the house larger, and they give you an outside living area, which is a proper
protected from the elements, and
a proper roof. So essentially, when people build a house initially, say if you've bought an investment home, or you've built a home without the extras because you've built it to a budget and you've gone for as much as you can. Now you're in the house and you're like, well, I want to now build my extension, or you already knew you were going to and you had an idea. These are the sorts
want to get. I can't do it now, but I'm going to do it later.
Yeah.
So that's all nice and easy. So you go, okay, well, I'm going to do the receiver channel option.
Yeah.
So I'm going to install get the beams in the beam installed at one end. That's where the gutter's going to be, and then install the receiver channel into the fascia. Now, we've found that in a lot of cases when we've installed them, that leaving the existing gutter in place is probably not a good idea.
Well, that's mainly not just when we've installed them, but when we've gone to fix people's leaks constantly.
Yeah, that as well. Yeah.
Having the gutter there, what ends up happening is the water will track down and fall onto the top of that fascia, or top of the flashing underneath it, and go in behind, and it gets stuck in between the fascia and the receiver channel. The receiver channel is just like a U, a C channel that sits onto the wall. And if you imagine you've got these sheets and you've got, if you're on YouTube, you can see me, but otherwise, just imagine you've got a vertical plane and a horizontal plane intersecting, and they're both metal. You're going to get flex in that. So any sealant that goes on the back of that is susceptible. Is that the right word? To fail? It's
susceptible.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. It's 4 syllables.
Susceptible to fail. Yeah.
So so what we've found is that instead of doing that, we take the gutter off, and if you wanted to, you could put the gutter back on. But to take the gutter off and actually run a transition flashing, which runs up behind the gutter, down onto the roof, and creates a smooth transition from the wall. So if any water was ever to fail from the guttering system, if it was put back on, it's just going to fall on the roof and go away like it should.
Yeah, it'll come back, fall onto that new apron transition flashing, and then get tracked back onto the roof and head down to the next gutter.
Yeah.
And then that just brings to another sort of thing. Like a lot of the time, the system, even if it's a receiver channel, it's like say you've got a 2-story house and you don't have anything to cover your external doors to come out onto your area, and you want to create a nice area out the back, then you just use masonry anchors or screws to fix the receiver channel into the wall.
Yeah.
And then really should be installing an apron flashing on top of that with another K flashing to help seal that from any water coming down the wall is going to be forced onto the roof instead of just running down behind the receiver channel.
So I'm going to ask a silly question, but it's silly for us. So why, Josh, does that not happen when you go down to Stratco? And I'm not trying to call out Stratco, but you go to Stratco, I'd like to buy that Outback patio that mounts onto my brick wall. I'd like to buy that, please. They'll put you onto a contractor. The contractor will supply you the patio kit and the install of it, and they install it, and then everything's done. You've paid them the money, and it rains 6 months later, and the water is leaking down the wall and coming in behind that receiver channel.
My personal opinion is that it's just they haven't either the person doesn't have roofing experience and doesn't realize that that's kind of what would happen in a normal roofing instance, or it's a roofer that basically just hangs their hat on the system.
Yeah, well, there you go. You've just said it right there. So the system, these kits are not designed to be habitable, to make a habitable area to be underneath it.
No.
So the system is not designed to fail, but it's not designed to keep the water out 100% to be habitable. So essentially, a lot of people go, oh, why don't we just put this out and then we'll close it in and call it a room, and that can be our outdoor room. And then they find it's leaking all over the place, and they find that they can't get council approval or they can't get certification for it. It's because that system hasn't actually been. It's not designed for that. So it's designed to be an outdoor area which is susceptible. I've used it again.
Yeah, it's susceptible.
For the rain and water to get in. It's not designed to be waterproof.
No, but you can make it waterproof by adding additional steps.
Well, taking the things that are used
in regular roofing, like aprons, K-flashings, things like that. Same sort of principle with the, you've got the roof transitioning from essentially it's say it's a 25-degree pitch. You've got your 25-degree pitch roof, and then it's coming down onto a 3-degree patio.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to install that in a normal instance as a roof, and it was technically that situation is a habitable building, regardless, you would install a transition flashing. You wouldn't just
have to
slap it onto the gutter and just be like, that'll be good.
Well, just like I talked about that last podcast, where the insurance said you need to put a transition flashing in there to meet code. This is exactly the same thing. So, whereas that's the difference, I guess. When you're building a patio, you got to look at what it is. What's your purpose for it? Do you want it to be completely watertight? Look, I understand everyone would want it to be completely watertight, but understanding that these patio kits are installed by a licensed builder who specializes in doing house extensions, like a Stratco Outback. Adaptive Group, very good. They do heaps of these types of things, and I think they're very good at what they do. And they follow the systems, and I've seen their work. They do a great job. Other people, there's a lot. We were actually at one stage a Stratco Outback dealer, and we found that the system and how we wanted to finish it wasn't following the system. I wasn't necessarily happy with just slap, 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 slap. Okay, there you go. There's your patio.
Yeah.
We went in with the approach of like, you want downlights in that, you want a fan in that, you want that to be finished in.
Trying to add value to
but
things as well.
Trying to also make it look really pretty, and a lot of the time it doesn't require the really pretty. A lot of customers don't just want the really pretty. They
just want it to serve the purpose.
Yeah, and when they get to live out in that area, and we couldn't make it work. I think it wasn't necessarily our area of expertise to. No. However, where we've done a good job of that is with working with builders and we work with homeowners as well, doing it as well. But working with builders who they build the frame, they get it all set up. They've already the idea is you've got nice timber frames coming up through the roof, nice timber posts coming up out on the ground, and doing a bit of nice stuff which ties in with the actual house itself. So, there's different things. So I went off on a tangent a little bit there.
That's all right. And there's also there's other little things that I think everyone kind of forgets is the gutter. That's when you're fixing gutters to the system.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be installed perfectly in line with the sheeting. So the sheeting is supposed to not only be at the pitch down to the gutter, it also needs to be on a pitch to drain the gutter as well.
Yeah, the gutter has a little extra fold on the top of it that you screw through the rib of the
square line stuff. Yeah. So with what's meant to happen is you have you've got your side barges and you've got your receiver channel, and then at the gutter end you have what's called the Z fascia, which creates a drip edge and seals off the sheet helps seal it off from vermin.
Yep.
And so then what happens is you rivet that Z fascia to the base of the sheet, to that piece of column at the bottom, and then you rivet it into the gutter overhang offcut.
Yep.
And so when you rivet the gutter overhang, you're also meant to rivet the gutter and rivet the overstrap all together into that overhang of the sheet.
Mm-hmm.
And then
that creates a system.
And that creates a system, and then the water falls from the sheet into the gutter, and then...
So essentially you have there, and this is looking at the kit, when you install that beam, you need to run that beam not level.
Correct.
So you get that. I remember when I was a year into working in roofing, my cousin and I, Jason and I we put up some patios, and we had a customer that was for the patio center for vents, and put up a patio, and we put it on the fall, and the customer was like, no, that has to be level, and we're like, well, we're following the system. No, it has to be level, and it was adamant. And we'd done a good job, in my opinion. I was very green at the time, I think 22 years old, and we'd done this. That's how old these systems are. They haven't changed in all of that time, and it was
ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, well, that's right. And we used a water level, like a clear hose, to get the lines to get it so it was right, and we put it on. Everything was good, but you didn't have an option of like a normal fascia and gutter. You have the clip fixings, and you can move the gutter around.
Yeah, because that's not the system.
So if you build it wrong, your gutter's
just going to hold water, and it's all built wrong. It's like
So when we do okay. So doing insulated panels, we're doing a McDonald's coming up right down at Capella Bar, and we told you mentioned to Steve, hey, can you put the
beam?
Can you build the beam not straight, not level,
so that the gutter just drains to where the downpipe goes?
Yeah. However, the problem is that there's a downpipe in a location that doesn't suit it being done like that. So there is a way around that. You can put the beam in all level. Now, this isn't a kit. They build their own frame. You can put these sandwich panels on top of the any structure, right? So he's building that straight, and we just have to change that Z flashing you were talking about and put a lip on the bottom of it so we can fix GP bracket.
Yes.
To that.
Yeah, we've got to do it sort of bespoke to make it work how we need it to work.
Yeah.
I mean, you like the company that I used to work for before working with you, we had to do an entire house. They wanted 125 mil insulated panel on their whole house. So instead of doing a conventional roof, it was all insulated panel.
Yeah.
Which is super fun. But you can, that way, you get you have
very
essentially well insulated house. It's going to be like a fridge, and it's going to have, you've got cathedral ceilings essentially.
And it gets all it'll echo. It'll be great. Just like this tin right here. Hey, tin. Sorry. The coffee's kicked in.
Yeah. So, like, you can use insulated panel for a multitude of purposes. I mean, like, arc panel don't do up on the Sunshine Coast. They have you can do a corro top, corro bottom, or corro top, trim top, corro bottom, or whatever, which is specified on a lot of commercial projects because they're going for that look.
Yeah.
Defense. I think is the convention center all made out of that?
To be honest, I'm not sure.
It's all got corro.
Yeah,
you look up at the roof in the convention center, and it's all corro bottom, but it's on the other side of all the
and I don't think all
the beams and
either.
stuff. So I would say they had to do it that way. Otherwise, how'd you get the corro on top? Did you lay one roof and then?
It had to be, and they've curved it, so that would be all arc panel. That's why they're still in existence, getting big jobs like that. I don't know why they're in existence, because they do a good job, probably.
Yeah. We've used arc panel for a fair few projects, and shout out to Nadia. She does a good job. Our rep.
Yeah. So talking about arc panel or insulated panel, it comes in a whole range of different sizes. So generically, let's just touch base on Stratco, for example. That's generic, and they're one of the early adopters of it.
So basically, you've got trim top or corro top,
being trim deck
or corrugated iron on top.
Yep.
And depends on what look you're going for,
and the pitch of
the roof. Yep, because you still have to the pitch still has to maintain the same as what that conventional sheeting would adhere to.
Mm-hmm.
But you have different thicknesses of panels. So you've got 50 mil, 75, 100 mil, 125, 200.
Does
150, 200.
Does Stratco do the big ones?
Stratco does up to 125.
Okay, yeah.
They may do bigger. I'm not sure offhand.
So then you go to an arc panel, which is and look, those sizes that you just mentioned. You can Solaris panel, Ozdeck panel.
Yeah, Bondo. They all sort of.
There's another one.
Bondo.
That Decker.
Ozdeck.
No, I forgot their name.
Delta.
Now. Delta panel. There we go.
So they all do. You've got all those different panels, and each one of those has a different R value. So if you're looking for a particular insulation value, which we've talked about loads previously, you can use a specific thickness of panel to achieve that result, but you also need to take into account what the span is going to be. So if you have you've got, say for example, it's open 3 sides, it's a receiver channel against the wall, goes out to a beam, but it's 6 meters. So you need to use at least for argument's sake, 100 mil panel.
Mm-hmm.
You can't use a standard 50 mil panel. So
the thicker it
changes,
gets, the longer
it can span.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to have any intermediate sort of beams with and all that, then you could reduce
the panel again. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're essentially only spanning X.
So the difference, right at the start, we talked about single skin, and we really haven't talked much about that because that is realistically the cheapest, most economical way of doing anything. And realistically, it's only it's used for a very a economic way to extend your house to be able to give you an outdoor area or
walkways.
Yeah, walkways and carports.
Yeah,
it's generally the problem with it over say versus, so you get single skin versus insulated panel.
Mm-hmm.
You can't walk on the single skin. So if you're having to do anything up on top of that, you're basically having to put acro props and a plank underneath to support you while you walk on top of that sheeting.
Yeah.
It's just not serviceable.
Would not get up on top of it.
No, it's a small child, which shouldn't be up there, would be about the weight. You know, like maybe if a cockatoo jumped up there or a possum, they'd be okay.
Yeah. But a person, not so much.
No. So the difference, an insulated panel at the spans we're talking, which is the legal, well, the appropriate spans, the certifiable spans, you can walk on them. You can have multiple people. They're very, very, very strong.
Yes.
So that's kind of the difference between the two. That if you're needing to get up on the roof, and look, I've seen people put. Now I don't know what the rules are, the regulations are, but I've seen people put solar panels, and I'm talking about MyCladders. One of my investment properties that used to be our office.
Mm-hmm.
We put solar panels on the rear.
On the rear one,
rear roof. Now that one, we bought that property. Talking about that, well, we bought that property, and I remember getting there, and the real estate agent said to us, "Oh, it's got a really good roof on it."
Yeah.
And at that stage, he didn't know I was a roofer, and I said, "Mate, that roof is garbage. It's absolutely horrific." He goes, "Oh, but they put a new roof on back in 2013 when they moved the house here." I said, "Yes, but it's still garbage. They haven't done a very good job." So regardless of that, at the back, there was a lean-to deck.
Yeah, it was not actual. It was fridge panel.
It was fridge panel.
So flat, not actually suitable for purpose.
So what did we do? I mean, it was there. We skinned it.
We just skinned it with some trim deck to make it more water efficient, and then installed transition flashing onto it, and it's all hunky dory.
Yeah. So, and you were there. You run that job from the office, didn't you?
Yeah.
When you were there.
Yeah.
What fridge panel?
Mm-hmm.
I was going off another tangent, but I think this is more important. A lot of people, like in 2000, this is the 2015 hailstorm, 16 hailstorm we were talking about in the last podcast. We turned up, we replaced heaps of patios that were just fridge panel. Like people had been selling fridge panel to clients to be able to get that across the line, because you're looking at about $20 a square meter cheaper to supply fridge panel, and all they do is just go through and silicon the joins. It's not roofing. It's essentially what McDonald's uses as a cold room. It's cold room panel.
Yeah, it's a wall. It's a wall. It's not a roof. It's a wall.
Yeah,
and it's because there's still if you look at like when they build an abattoir or whatever. Mm-hmm. And they've got all the meat packing sort of area, they still put fridge panel walls up on everything, and they put an insulated roof on it because they need to keep it cool to keep the meat good. So
didn't we worked on something where they had to line the whole inside of the building with fridge panel?
Did we?
Oh, that exhaust fan, that place that we did, and the guy didn't pay us for ages, and I had to chase him. But essentially that's the thing. So fridge panel, cold room panel. They are walls.
They're walls. They're not roof.
If they're used inside
you could use it as a ceiling.
Yeah, inside it, you just nailed it. You can use it as a ceiling. So we re-roofed Stafford McDonald's, and out the back, the cold room was built externally to the original building. They built a whole new big cold room out the back, all out of fridge panel. The roof was fridge panel. The whole lot's fridge panel, and they had some big steel beams on the roof just to support it, to hold it back up, rather than just building it with fridge panel on the sides and putting
an insulated roof on top,
insulated
insulated panel on top.
Yeah. So there's a lot of horror stories on how people do things and how people sell things, but I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that people don't understand the difference between a roof panel and a cold room panel. But that needed to be added into that story.
Yeah, well, and it goes back to 2 podcasts ago. We're talking about looking at look into what you're actually specifying and what you're actually doing a little bit more to actually understand what's going on.
And kind of that's what we're trying to do with this. Is
trying to help educate people and help them understand certain aspects of roofing, cladding, and slowly growing into more of the construction side of things.
Yeah, the constructing art. So in extensions, have we covered everything?
I don't know, have we?
We're pretty close. We're talking. I mean,
further to the flyovers. I forgot that point. So flyovers.
I knew we'd find something.
Flyovers, right? So when you're installing flyover roofs, you got to install roof extenders.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's a big steel post that comes out and then has the beam. Right? Yeah, that's the kit.
You can also put other types of posts, but the kit comes with the roof extenders.
Yeah. So you can do a whole stack of stuff. But roof extenders are a general, cheap, easy way to do it.
Yep.
And so they go down, they fix onto the top plate or onto the truss.
Yep.
And then same as like a vent pipe or whatever, you cut the hole out and put it in, and then you install a deck tite over it. Well, as we've talked about previously with installing deck tites, depending on where you've installed the roof extender, and obviously that's going to be governed by the spans of your beams, you need to then consider installing dry pans to ensure that those don't leak, because you've now just created a penetration through the roof and you need to make sure that no water's getting through there. Oh,
mate, the number of leaks that I dealt with early on because of that was from our own self. Well, we were going to talk about what have we learned from errors we've made in the past. So in this situation, I remember doing a house it was the same hailstorm in Fairfield, right on the corner. Great customer. The whole thing was we did it through Ambrose Building, but it had not roof raisers, but it had steel posts coming up through, and we put new deck tights. We did all of that, and they kept leaking. And he goes, "Mate, it's still leaking. It's still leaking." I'm really happy with everything, though it's still leaking. I went up there over and over and over again, and it wasn't till the point of it came to the point that it was the laps. Yeah, water was coming in for the laps because the posts for this patio was
coming through the lap of a sheet.
Yeah, coming through the lap of the sheet. And it's like, okay, that makes perfect sense. So we dry pan them.
Yeah.
It's solved. And then it stopped leaking. So that essentially is your point is, if you're going to put, it is a really good idea. Yeah. It's a good great insurance policy to put a dry pan up.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So on that,
I think
they're a great idea though. Like to extend your house, a patio or these kits are a really, really good idea. They're simple. You can install them yourself. Yeah. They're a really good idea to do for an extension.
It's not the silliest thing to just something small that's going to add value to your home
and your life.
Add more. Yeah, add more to your life. I can't think of the word. I'm looking for a word and I can't figure it out.
Quality of life.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, quality.
Increase your quality of life.
Yeah.
Sit out the back and be nice and cool.
Yeah.
If it's raining, sit out there, have a coffee and watch the rain fall.
And it sounds nice. If you've got the thin one, if you've got the single skin, it sounds great. It sounds amazing. The insulated panel might touch. Anyway, so we've got these new intros and outros, and I'm going to leave it to it. We're going to finish it up because Josh is now going to do his thing, but it's not going to be while we're here. So,
too easy.
See you guys later.
Cheers. So I hope everyone has learned a bit more about patios, the different types, how the systems all go together, how to improve on the installation to make them a bit more waterproof, when you would use the different thicknesses of insulated panel, and that fridge panel shouldn't realistically be used as roofing. If you have any further questions on today's topic, or just questions on construction or ColourBond in general, please just chuck them down in the comments below. We're happy to help you out with your journey towards your dream home. Until next time, folks, let's keep constructing art.